There was a time when a 90-mile-an-hour arm at the Future Games was an eye-opener. Now, that eye-opening experience is about the sheer number of players with velos at 90 plus. Over 120 pitchers hit that number across the 2025 edition of the summer's biggest uncommitted party at LakePoint Sports. This is Coffee and Curveballs. I'm Cory McCartney, joined by Shooter Hunt. And Shooter, to say velo is in vogue would be an understatement. Tennessee's Liam Daughtry broke an 11-year-old event record, topping out at 97.6. The pitching was simply insane.
Insane is a light way to put it because it was overwhelming to me. There were so many good arms on every field, every team, 40 squads in the 16U division, nonstop. And a lot of times, four different fields, guys are up to 94, 94, 94, 94 everywhere. And I think that's one of the big reasons why having the advanced metrics, how do you move? How athletic are you? What is the pitch profile? What are the pitch shapes? That's something the college guys are really gluing in on because, shoot, everybody throws hard now.
Well, you've got a dandy dozen impact arms for us. We're going to start off our conversation with three out of the Lone Star State. Now, Texas, being the talent hotbed that it is, had two teams. The North squad gave us two impressive arms. George Ferguson, the nation's top-ranked right-hander out of Abilene, who was up to 94. Lefty Jake Ivey, who fanned five and was up to 92 miles an hour. And not to be outdone, righty Quinn Fitzpatrick, top three his position nationally, runs it up to 94 over two impressive innings for South.
Yeah, and I put out a list of 60 guys that it could easily go to 100, had to cut it somewhere because even last year we had guys that I was missing. But Jake Ivey at the top, lefty, who was absolutely gross. I had to get front row. It was incredible. Some of the California kids, impressive that they were even fouling balls off. But three pitches that have a chance to be a weapon with the breaking ball, a changeup, the fastball, especially. Kind of liken him to what we saw from Hagen Smith. If you can think back a long time ago when he was a sophomore, junior year, it's just really aggressive down the mound. The fastball gets on you in a hurry. He's 6'3", 210. It just checks all the boxes there. And then Ferguson, who, I mean, it's quintessential big Lone Star State heat, right? 6'4", 205. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. What really catapulted him into the upper echelon of, hey, professional scouts need to get this guy on the radar immediately is the fact that the slider has a chance to be a plus pitch and the changeup, split finger, kind of two different pitches for him. He was able to command and get those in the zone for swings and misses. It's big time stuff with four pitches for strikes. That says a lot. And then, oh yeah, Quinn Fitzpatrick, who just looks like he's just taking a stroll out there from the right side at 93 to 95, putting the fastball to all four quadrants, go in and out. Again, slider, changeup. It's something that's even more important now, right? In the past, oh, this guy throws really hard. No, you got to have that pitch profile. You got to move really well. We got to see that upside because college coaches are really looking for those advanced metrics. And those are three guys from Texas where everything's bigger in Texas. And those three were really good.
Should be noted that Ferguson and Fitzpatrick are locked in for the Prep Baseball All-American game in September, so looking forward to seeing them on the big stage. And speaking of arms that will be in Miami, Davis Wilson suiting up for NorCal as California also fielded two teams, was fantastic, up to 93. Wheels a cutter that he told me is always on. Meanwhile, fellow righty Jay Beckett Berg was firing off a slider north of 2,700 spin for SoCal, topped out at 92 mile an hour.
Yeah, you know the California prospects always bring it. And Davis Wilson was a guy coming in, Les Lukács, Hank Laforte, the entire Steve Hardesty, all the California guys, like, you have to watch this dude. You have to. Yes. And I had seen the video. It's a little stabby, right? When you're scouting, like, oh, it's a little stabby. We'll see what happens here. In person, this is flat electricity. And it was 3+ pitches for strikes. Changeup at any time has a chance to be a demon pitch for him. But the fastball coming in, that 92, 93, super downhill, kind of gets an near over the top slot to get that steep downhill presence. But like you talked about, he was calling it a cutter that was always on. It looked like a slider. It might have been the single best pitch that anybody threw at the event. The thing flat out disappeared about 5 feet from the hitter. It was gone. You had to blink, and it was incredible. He could show some manipulation of the pitch where he could just keep it on the same plane, but also get some depth later in counts. And he went out there and pitched with some moxie, walking around, letting everybody know that NorCal was in the house. And then you go over to Jay Beckett Berg, who Notre Dame High School, just churning out nonstop prospects up there in the Mission League. 6'5", workhorse frame, 4 pitches for strikes. It's one of those pro ready type bodies where this kid's going to be continue to be tracked. He goes out there. This was just another game for him. He's moving the fastball around. He's disrupting timing. He knows what he's doing with a shorter arm stroke and his own pitch profiles there. Low pulse competitor. Love what he can do because it is a true starter profile.
Let's move on to some two ways who really made an impression on the mound, starting with two top 50 players nationally. Graham Keane, Pennsylvania's top ranked player, number 18 in the country. Another All American, by the way, was up to 94 while also hitting 600 with two doubles. Jub Jones out of Georgia, ranked 23rd in 2027, was in the mid 90s on the mound. Illinois' Caden Wozniewski, 50th nationally, up to 94.9 as well with 4Ks.
Yeah, Keane's been a real close follow, obviously, for the last 2 years. Was awesome at the super sophomore games a year ago, where his big power at the plate stands out. I think he was up to 426 feet. He was belting some balls in BP because he gets on plane early, can really leverage that 6'5", 6'6" frame. But then he hopped on the mound. And I had heard some rumblings like, oh, he might be a better pitcher. And I was like, he's a better pitcher than what this profile is as a hitter. I now understand what those guys were talking about. So shout out to all those guys who said that because he moves sensationally well at 6'6". It's hard to repeat movement patterns. He was outstanding with it. Talked about he's 91, 94 plus, probably be up to 96 in the next month or two. And feel for a changeup, which he has used almost exclusively in the past, dropping in 78, 79 mile an hour curveball early in counts. But it was a slider, which he called a cutter, but 86, 88, it's a real white. It has a chance to be a plus pitch. Short, late. I don't think he knows quite how good of a pitch it is yet, but that was another one of the absolute best pitches at the event. Then you go to Chubb Jones, who under the lights, right, night one in Georgia, packed house. I couldn't even get to the front row because it was sold out, right? It was like Marlins man was up front. I couldn't get up there. But it's explosive stuff. He's going up against Florida. There's high emotion, was able to handle that. He also, I think he ran a 6'3", 60, which when you're trying to project these pitchers, those guys who are super athletic are the ones who continue to succeed. And he's got that athleticism to continue to make those adjustments. He's aggressive out there, confident. He wants to attack the zone, wants to embarrass guys. Love what he's about there. Can't wait to see what he does in Miami with that. And then you go to Wozniewski, who I wrote it up. I said, this guy pitched mean, and he was just an absolute bullying force on the mound. 92, 95 plus, 2,700 plus RPM. Indiana had an excellent lineup, and he was dicing those guys up. Real good feel for the slider, 79 to 83, but it was a plush change, like an absolute power pitch, 83 to 86, command of it. He's got his glasses on all from the stretch. I know how big of a winner he is. We followed him for the last 2 years there at a really good program there at McHenry. But he went out there and it was stellar stuff from Wozniewski.
Sticking with the two ways, Louisiana's number one lefty, Cade Luker, also fan 5 while doubling at the plate. Tennessee's Gavin French, he topped out at 93 while also supplying a couple hits of his own.
Two silky smooth movers, right? Those dynamic movers who have quick arms. Talk about Luker, who might have been one of my favorite lefties at the event. There were some kind of higher profile guys, but he was one of the few surprises for me. I go in with a lot of notes. I know a lot of these guys. Love Luker. Then you see what he does at the plate. Again, the athleticism, can run, can jump. I think he's got bigger things on his horizon. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. And then Gavin French was another guy. I got front row seat for that because he was going up against a really good team, hops onto the mound, is able to manipulate the pitches, looks like a starter in the making. And another one of those guys where we're looking back 2, 3, 4 years from now, Gavin French is going to look like a frontline guy if he continues on this trajectory.
Finally, a couple of state number ones who showed up and showed out. South Carolina lefty Connors Wells, fan 4 with a top velo of 93. Caden McCarthy, Vermont's number one player, racked up 5 strikeouts, 2 innings for Massachusetts, and he was up to 94.
Yeah, Wells kind of scuffled a little bit with his command his first inning, settled down the second inning, but he is flat out unteachable, right? He's left-handed, he's 6'5", he throws in the mid-90s, he's got 3 pitches that will probably grade out as above average in the long run. You can't teach that. So that guy hopping on the mound with that explosive stuff, and he's able to put it together after a long summer. So if this is him kind of not at his peak performance, It's scary to think of what it's going to be like next spring for those poor South Carolina hitters. So it's big time stuff. Got to follow there. And then you head up to Vermont. Oh, shoot. Talk about poor high school kids that are going to walk out of eighth period into a 96-mile-an-hour fastball from the right side. What was cool about McCarthy, it's one of the higher floors in the class. 6 foot, 185. He's not going to be 92, 95, 92, 96. But it's two distinct different fastballs. That the two seam sinker, low, the bottom of the zone, going hoppy up top. Very fascinating to see that. It's a plus changeup with plus feel. And then the slider, if that continues to make its jumps, he was throwing it for strikes, kind of dropping it in with more gradual shape. I think that could kind of spike him to that next level of jumping up a tier in Vermont. But he's clearly going to be one of the big names coming out of New England when we're looking ahead to the 2027 draft.
Well, every field, every game, there was no let up with the high octane arms across the 2025 future games. Don't go anywhere. We've got so much more coffee and curveballs coming your way. Until then, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.